What's good, and welcome to Kind of Funny Games Daily, your source for video game news each and every weekday. I'm Andrea Renee, joined by Mr. Gary Witta from Witta Wednesdays.
Wow, this is new. A round of applause. I like that.
I know, it's great. Gary, it has been forever since you and I hosted the show together.
I think we decided before the show it's only the second time that we've hosted, right?
Only the second time I've been here for a Witta Wednesday.
Combo.
I know. It's going to be
I like
great.
It. I'm glad for it.
And I told you earlier that we unfortunately have to talk about one of your least favorite things in the Roper Report later. But before we get to that, this is your place to watch on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. We need all of you in the chat to keep us honest by going to kindoffunny.com/you're wrong to let us know when we screw up as we screw it up. And don't forget, you can also watch this show at youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. If you haven't subscribed to us over there, why not? It's just a simple little button press. And if you want, go one step further and hit the bell. And so you get notifications anytime Kind of Funny Games sends a video out into the interwebs. That leads me into some housekeeping because we've got some great videos that are up for you guys. We have the Spider-Man Spoilercast with Brian Intihar from Insomniac Games, which is live right now. So obviously, it's a spoiler cast. Don't watch it or listen to it until you finish the game, especially since that's a very narrative-heavy game. Plus, the Mario Tennis Aces featuring Johnny Ace Party Mode is up at youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. I had to ask Joey, I was like, wait, who's Johnny Ace? And she's like, who do you think it is? And I was like, obviously Scarpino. So if you guys want to check that out, again, that's on the YouTube page.
Johnny Ace.
RTX London is happening this week. That's the reason why Tim and Greg are not here. They are across the pond in the UK. You guys can find out all of the details about what they are doing at RTX at kindoffunny.com/RTX London. And this episode of Kind of Funny Games Daily is brought to you by Brooke Linden and Loot Crate, but we're going to tell you more about that later. So for now, Gary, do you want to pimp your
Should we just get this out of the way real quick?
Yeah, let's do it before we get started with the Roper Report.
So it's weird. So I come in on Wednesdays, Witta Wednesdays, as you know. New comic books come out on Wednesdays as well. But for some reason, this is the first time I've actually, in the 6-issue run of the Star Wars comic that I've been writing, this is the first time that I've actually been here on a Wednesday with a copy of it that came out today that I got from the comic book store downstairs. So I'm going to do a shameless plug real quick.
Let's do it. No, it's not shameless, Gary. That's why we have you on the show, to plug all your stuff.
Well, it's kind of a point
to give us your insightful hot takes.
Of course, my oxyacetylene hot takes. And honestly, it's kind of a pointless plug because this is issue 6, is the last one. You're either in or you're out at this point. Like, I'm not going to convince anyone to buy it on the last issue.
That's true.
But nevertheless, Star Wars: The Last Jedi, issue 6, the final issue that has my.
Hold that up.
I'm holding it up here. Yeah. Star Wars: The Last Jedi, issue 6, the official Marvel Comics adaptation of the smash hit. I think we can safely say that. Feature film, directed by my friend Ryan Johnson. Had a lot of fun working on this. This issue has my favorite page in it from the whole 6-issue run. I suspect you will know it when you see it. It's out in comic book stores today. And here endeth the shameless plug.
Well, congrats on the launch and making it all the way to the end.
It was fun. And it's not just the end of the comic book run, but it's kind of the end of like my whole 4-5 year long Star Wars journey, because it started with Rogue One, then I moved on to Rebels, and I worked in the publishing side with the Star Wars fiction anthology, and now 6 issues of this. But as of now, I don't have anything else pending like in the Star Wars universe. So
you can say?
No, well, I guess technically, if I couldn't say, then you'd get the same answer out of me anyway.
That's true.
But no, genuinely, truly, I'm done with Star Wars for the time being. And if they ask me again, obviously, I would always say yes to Star Wars. But for right now, nothing on deck. This is my last Star Wars thing. I think probably for a short while, but I really, really enjoyed doing the comic, and it adds, if you liked the film, or even if you didn't like the film, it adds all kinds of cool stuff to it that I think help you get like a greater appreciation of what Ryan was doing in the movie. So really fun to work on. Let's get to the meat of the matter. Let's get to some video gaming news.
We will, but I just want to say congratulations. That was an amazing run. Obviously, lots of the best friends out there writing with nothing but love for you and your work, and this must be a little bittersweet for you.
It's a little bit. I mean, again, I have a feeling, I suspect that there will be something else in the future for me to do in the Star Wars universe, because like once you've done a little bit of everything, and it's weird. I have this weird, unique bragging right of being the only person that's ever written Star Wars for film, television, books, and comics. So I kind of have a little bit of a. It's cool, right?
Yeah, we can applaud for that.
So whether it's I would love to do a Star Wars video game one day. That would be really cool.
Keep writing movies. You're really good at it.
I gotta add something to my Star Wars EGOT.
I guess
What's
you
wrong with video games? You don't like video games?
No, I really like Rogue One. Like
I appreciate that. Thank
really
you
like
so
Rogue
much.
I
One.
guess you're gonna have to go
more.
work with EA then, because they've got the Star Wars
Well,
license.
for the time being, who knows? Who knows how long that might continue to last? The
let
way
it
they've
end.
been acting.
All right.
Speaking of video games,
Let's get into the Roper Report. There are 4 items on the Roper Report.
You gotta give me a second to do the.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Kevin.
is that you doing it now, or are you
Yeah.
saying you've got to do it?
No, that's me doing it, and then you have to
Just
cut me
do
off.
it one more time so that we're all clear. There we go.
4 items on the Roper Report.
A baker's dozen.
Thank
you
you,
go.
Kevin.
That's my favorite part of the show.
It is a great
It's all
part.
downhill from here.
All right, the first story on the Roper Report, Nintendo Switch online launch date has been revealed. So
Yes, I'm excited about this.
I know, we've been waiting for this all year long. This write-up comes from Adam Bankhurst over at IGN. Nintendo has revealed that its upcoming Nintendo Switch online service will be launching next Tuesday, September 18th, and will be arriving with a 7-day free trial from the Nintendo eShop. Announced via Twitter, Nintendo confirmed that its paid service will be launching next week, and that more information will be revealed at tomorrow's 35-minute Nintendo Direct that will focus on upcoming Switch and 3DS titles. As like a refresher, that is the Switch or the Direct that was rescheduled due to the earthquake that happened in Hokkaido, Japan. Some people wrote in asking if we thought that there would be additional content added since it was delayed, and I would imagine no.
So this is just what we would have got
Like a week ago.
or so ago, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think that they're probably going to add in anything else. But who knows? There's no way for us to know what they've added in if they added anything in. Anyway, continuing the story, Nintendo had previously said that its online service would be launching in the second half of September and would cost significantly cheaper than Xbox Live Gold and PlayStation Plus. There will be 3 options of purchase, including a 1-month membership that will cost $3.99 USD, a 3-month that will be $7.99, and a 12-month that will be $19.99. So clearly, if you're going to get in, you might as well just buy the whole year.
Well, they kept their promises,
where the
didn't
savings
they?
is.
It's second half of September, and it is significantly cheaper.
Yeah,
Almost makes me
substantially.
worry a little bit. Like, how much are we? If it's that cheap, how much are we really going to get?
Right. So let me continue here. In addition to the ability to play online games with friends, which had previously been free, subscribers will gain access to 20 NES games at launch, including Super Mario Bros., The Legend of Zelda, and Super Mario Bros. 3. Another long-requested feature, cloud saves, will become available with this new service, although it appears not all games will be taking advantage of this feature, which Greg and Scott talked about a little bit yesterday. Of course, we expect to get a little bit more information from the Direct tomorrow, so Jared and I will hopefully be able to cover that for you guys. But the price point certainly isn't indicative that it's not going to be as robust as an offering as we get from Gold or Plus.
Right. I mean, so they're basically giving giving you something that you've already got for free, which is you could play online, and this Nintendo Flix streaming on demand games service. And it said they're starting with 20. It'll be interesting to see do we know what the others. Have they said what the others are? Maybe that'll be part of the reveal tomorrow.
I don't know. This is maybe a good you're wrong. And also, for all of the folks watching on Twitch, I also don't know. I was going to say, like, the cloud saves thing was a big reason why a lot of people want to pay for this service, but I don't believe that Xbox or PlayStation locks you out of specific games for cloud saves. I think it's universal. But please, kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. If you guys know the exact answer to that, let us know. But that to me is kind of the hitch here. It's like $20. Great. It seems like it's very affordable, very easy to get into, particularly with families and people who are, have a lot of kids that they are worried about with multiple accounts, or even just budget conscious people in general. But I guess this is one of those things where we're going to have to wait and try it to see how it works. I kind of would have hoped that it would have been a universal rollout for all of their titles instead of being like, oh, some games can't do this. I know Splatoon 2 was the big one that they said
not using cloud saves?
is not using cloud saves.
Why not?
That's a great question.
No one's playing it.
The reason,
That's a lie, and you know it.
well, the reason
Wash
that-
your filthy mouth out with soap.
I mean,
All right,
he's
Jared.
not wrong, Kevin. A lot of people love Splatoon 2. I think the reason that I read online was that they were worried about people cheating using cloud saves with certain kinds of cheat codes or being able to manipulate the
Okay.
code in the cloud or something along those lines. But I don't know why Nintendo would be struggling with that when PlayStation and Xbox aren't.
I'm glad for it though, because one of the unique thing about the Switch, of course, it being portable, is I worry all the time. My kid carries it around, she drops it. I worry that if she drops it and breaks it, not only are we out $300 for a replacement Switch, but those saves, which are all in the hardware, would not currently be recoverable. Like, we'd have to start over with all our games.
You don't have
so at least if they're in the
card
cloud,
in there?
But does it save the games to the card, or does it save to the system memory?
I believe that you can choose to save it specifically to the card.
I should at least do that, because we do have a card in there, and at least I could pop that out.
So, like, if the Switch completely breaks, you should be able to retrieve, hopefully, the card unharmed, unless it gets run over by a bus or something.
What I really want, and I suspect I'm not going to get it tomorrow, I feel I'm going to be disappointed. Well, not disappointed because I'm not really expecting it, but I do want the ability, if we've got a second Switch in the house, to the games to be tied, just like they are with PlayStation and Xbox, for the games to be tied to the account, not the hardware. So I could buy one game and have it on two Switches in my household, both with the same Nintendo Network ID.
But can't you do that now? Because I occasionally forget my Switch.
Yeah.
And I've logged into the office Switch to play Fortnite.
I think that's only if you digitally download the game from the eShop. Like, if you buy the physical copy, like, for example, I have the card for Mario Kart.
Yeah.
And if I don't have the card with me, I can't access my...
in that
my
case, you would
license of the
physically
game
have
without
to
the card.
get the card out.
Isn't that true for like PlayStation as well? Or if you've got the
if you buy the
believe
disc,
so.
the disc needs to be in the machine that you're running it on.
Yeah.
It doesn't just give you a license to put it like a digital version on any thing that you want.
Right.
I feel like your wrong is like just filling up right now with all of our wrongness. We'll find out.
Harry,
But
I'm
I would
just confused on what you
because they announced that Pokemon Yellow Switch that's coming out, and what's my kid's favorite color is yellow, and she loves Pikachu and Eevee, and those are the two Pokemons that are on the front of this thing. As soon as she sees that, I'm doomed. Like, there's no way we're not getting it.
It's going to be the hot holiday item.
It's going to be the big item for the holidays for sure.
Get your pre-orders in now. Is it available for pre-order?
I just saw an image of it. You're wrong. Tell us, please, when the Pikachu Switch is coming out. If Andrea can't find it right now.
Oh, here it is.
When's it being released?
It's November 16th.
Oh, it's a hot holiday item for sure.
Yeah.
That's going to be a tough one to find. I should probably get the pre-order on that, right?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Oh my God, my kid would freak out if we got her that for Christmas. All right, okay, I'm going to make a mental note to get the pre-order.
Now you know what you've got to do. Hopefully she doesn't watch this show.
Oh God, she does watch the show. I'm doomed.
Don't let her watch this episode.
She won't be watching this one. Okay. She's at school right now, so she won't be watching it back. Okay, good.
Lethal Arrow wrote in to kindoffunny.com/KFGD, just like you can, to be part of the show, and says, howdy, KFGD. So Nintendo has announced an actual date for the online service, finally. However, something has been bugging me ever since it was announced, that Nintendo will do paid online. People keep complaining that the current Nintendo online structure is terrible, and why should they pay for something that bad? Now, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I did not have a PS3, but wasn't PlayStation Online considered terrible before it went paid? But now it's all good? I know this was a generation or a generation and a half really ago, but could this be Nintendo finally catching up to a decent online infrastructure? Or do you believe that due to Nintendo's history that it will not be the case? Thanks for all you do. Insert chicken joke here. This is a good point to bring up. I don't recall how bad PlayStation Online was, but I do remember that even PS3's PlayStation Plus, while paid, was still like what I considered to be vastly inferior to Xbox Live Gold during the 360 PS3 generation. I thought Xbox Live just dominated in the online infrastructure, both in the marketplace and the connectivity for multiplayer. And clearly that's changed this generation. I think there's a lot of parity between Xbox and PlayStation now in their online marketplaces and in infrastructure. But Nintendo has never really caught up to where the other consoles are as far as online connectivity. I mean, we complain all the time on this show about friend codes, at least I do.
Right.
And that whole system. But what do you think, Gary?
Well, I think the Lethal Arrow here is right in remembering that when the PS3 launched, its online service was not great. The big argument that Sony always got to make was, well, you can play online for free, whereas Microsoft will charge you $50-$60 a year for Xbox Live. Mm-hmm. But I think they also use that as a license for them to say, yeah, but it's also not, yeah, we get it, it's not that great, but hey, it's free, you get what you pay for. Once they started making people pay for PlayStation Online, it did start to get better. Now I think it's largely a matter of taste. They're both roughly the same kind of offering. You know, you have Game Pass, you have PlayStation Plus or Games with Gold or whatever. You've got all your online play. You've got all your game stores. Pretty much, it's the same thing for the same price. It really is largely a matter of personal preference. So far as Nintendo goes, Nintendo gonna Nintendo. They're always just gonna not care about what the other guys are doing. And the online space has always been a bit of an Achilles heel for them because it's so important to them that they protect kids and not have them, going down dark online alleyways with weird people they meet playing Splatoon or whatever.
I understand that, but Phil Spencer addressed this issue in regards to all of the crossplay questions that were being flung around at E3 and said, what, do you think Xbox doesn't care about the kids that play in their ecosystem? I mean, they own Minecraft, arguably the largest kid video game in the world. I mean, now Roblox is coming for their lunch. But I think that while that is a good talking point for Nintendo, it's just an unfair one because clearly PlayStation and Xbox are motivated to protect their underage communities as well.
I haven't done it on the PlayStation side, but we did recently set up, my kid really wanted to play on her own account and get her own achievements. So we did set up an account for her and we set it up as a kid's account. And once you set it up as a kid's account, the hoops you've got to jump through to do anything that you haven't already explicitly
given permission for?
Yeah, given permission for as the parent. It's really, it's extremely restrictive to the point where it's actually kind of annoying as the parent to even change anything.
But isn't that the purpose, though, is to make it difficult for the kids to change it?
Yes, it makes it almost impossible for her to change it. It obviously decides what kind of ESRB rated games. I can lock out voice chat. I can make the system as safe as Nintendo. I've just got to jump through a bunch of hoops. With Nintendo, it's just the default. That's just the way it's always going to be. And so while that makes it super safe for kids and for parents to think I don't have to do anything, it's Nintendo. They want people to just say it's Nintendo. I know that nothing's going to happen because they are like the Disney of video games and everything's super, super safe. So you don't have to jump through any hoops to worry about that. At the same time, if you're a grown up and you want to just talk to someone in a video game, why has it got to be so hard? Because they don't have those different tiers of kid and adult. It's just everyone. Nintendo basically treats everyone like they're 8 years old.
Right.
And that, again, is great if you're 8 years old, not so great for the rest of us. So it's the sooner or later, I imagine they will find a middle ground. And it's baby steps. And this Nintendo online service is hopefully a big baby step towards them having a more abundant, rich, interesting online ecosystem that we actually want to play in. I mean, that phone app was a joke, right? You would do the voice stuff through the phone app.
That's a good word for it. A joke. Yeah,
it was not great.
Yeah, it was pretty laughable how bad that was. The experience of having to have this completely separate ecosystem, not only a separate piece of hardware, but how it would impede the use of your phone with the other software on your phone, and then trying to get it to connect with your Switch. It was bad. I don't think that's going away, though. I don't know if this is going to be inside the Switch or not.
We've all done it, though, haven't we? I'm sure. I know I have. I suspect you have as well. I had plenty of online gaming sessions where, for whatever reason, the in-game chat client is just not good enough, or you don't like it, so you just do a Skype call and just have the phone sitting there.
Yeah, well, we have Discord
or FaceTime,
now.
Discord, whatever works. I'm showing my age here. Can't you just?
Yeah, we had Skype before Discord existed. Okay, Kevin.
Okay, I know. I'm just.
For the oldies here.
I'm sorry.
For the oldies here, yes, we used to talk on Skype, which was the style at the time. That's what we used to do. But now, of course, Discord. And
it's true.
I mean, on the PC side, I know this is not a particularly PC-friendly environment over here in Greg Miller land because he doesn't like PC games. But we've been doing this for years. Before Discord, we would run. Do you remember TeamSpeak and Ventrilo and things like that?
Yeah, I mean that's how Curse made their money, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, before they started giving you all the mods, it was just the ability to even talk in the game.
client chat.
Yeah, and again, part of the fire and forget nature of console gaming appeal is that it's just all baked into the hardware and it's easy. You put the headphone on and I can hear my friends. Again, though, that never works. How many gaming sessions? I'm going to be a bit of a soapbox here. How many gaming sessions have you had? Halo, Gears of War, you name it, whatever it might be. Have you spent the first hour just trying to get everyone in the same lobby, in chat, in a party, and get the game launched?
That's
like half of your night is just wasted getting everyone set up and playing.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong. So hopefully we are getting ready to move beyond that. We certainly have in the PC, PS4, and Xbox One ecosystems. I think it's become a lot more streamlined than it has been in the last 5 years. And I look forward to Nintendo catching up, because the multiplayer offerings that Nintendo is starting to get into are becoming more robust. I mean, Nintendo previously was generally just a single player machine. There was very few opportunities to do online multiplayer across the last couple generations of Nintendo consoles. So
I don't know. Apart from Virtua Tennis, Mario Tennis, I've played some online games of that with a friend of mine. I think that might be the only time I've ever got, apart from like Me Plaza and other stuff that's just a way to like, why bother?
Yeah.
I think that might be the only time I've ever played a Nintendo game online. But I hope that changes because I played some Splatoon because that really is built for online.
And Mario Kart Online is pretty fun too.
Oh, okay. And Mario Kart Online.
Yeah, but that's relatively recent in that franchise. Only the last 2 games. And please, this is another you're wrong.
Was Mario Kart 8 the first one to have real online play? That can't be right.
No. I mean, I think Mario Kart, the previous one, 7.
What was the one on Wii? That was 7, right? No, 7 was on 3DS.
I think that had online though on 3DS.
Yes, that did. But what did the Wii version have before? I know Wii U Mario Kart 8 had online. I'm wondering what was the version of Mario Kart that was on the Wii, and what did that have? You're wrong, will tell us, I'm sure.
Yes. I will leave it to you're wrong instead of me trying to look it up right now because I want to.
You're wrong, will tell us.
I want to keep moving on from the Roper
because it
report.
came with that bad. Remember the wheel that you plugged the
Oh yeah, I had that wheel, and I had the.
I think it was just called Mario
one from
Kart
Nyko
Wii.
too.
That was 8.
No, 8 was on the Wii U.
Oh, you're right.
And 7 was on the 3DS. So
one
Mario
on the
Kart Wii
Wii
was, I think, maybe just called Mario Kart Wii.
Might have been.
Let's say it for you're wrong.
It wasn't
you're
like
wrong,
it
Will,
wasn't
set
one of these
everything
double
straight.
dash type things where they gave it its own name. I think they just called it Mario Kart Wii. You're wrong.
So
tell us.
Don't come at us in the YouTube comments if you're not going to listen all the way till you're wrong.
I'm
That's all
admitting
gonna
my
say.
wrongness right now.
Next item on the Roper Report, EA reportedly under criminal investigation in Belgium due to FIFA's loot boxes. So this write-up comes from Matt Wales over at Eurogamer. The Belgian government, which declared loot boxes to be a form of gambling earlier this year, has reportedly launched a criminal investigation into EA after the publisher refused to modify FIFA's randomized card pack loot boxes in order to comply with the country's gambling laws. Back in April, Belgium's Gambling Commission determined that loot boxes found in FIFA 18, Overwatch, Counter-Strike Global Offensive were a, quote, illegal game of chance, end quote, and thus subject to Belgian gambling laws. Failure to adhere to these laws, which includes ensuring that minors are unable to access the gambling elements within a game, is illegal. Following the ruling, Blizzard, Valve, and 2K Games all elected to disable loot boxes in their games in Belgium. EA, however, has done nothing. As a result, according to Belgian publication Metro via Google Translate, is now the subject of a criminal investigation by the Brussels Public Prosecutor's Office. If it decides to prosecute, the case will go to court. The Belgian government's gaming commission considers loot boxes to be a game of chance because players don't know exactly which items a box may contain when purchasing it. Duh. EA, however, says otherwise, stating in April that its games were developed and implemented ethically and lawfully around the world, and that it did not agree that its games could be, quote, considered as any form of gambling. This, said EA CEO Andrew Wilson in May, is, quote, because players always receive a specified number of items in each pack, end quote. And because it doesn't, quote, provide or authorize any way to cash out or sell items for virtual currency or virtual currency for real money. So we've been talking about this Belgium story for a little bit now, and right as KFGD yesterday was wrapping, somebody wrote in and said, hey, this translation just came in from Europe, will you guys talk about it? And Greg said, punted it to us today. This is not surprising because particularly in FIFA, that's EA's cash cow globally. These loot boxes in FIFA.
The whole Ultimate Team thing, they make a fortune.
Like, I think the number, and I'll double check it, from 2016 was the last reported number, was $500 million just from FIFA in microtransactions. So clearly pays for a lot of development of other projects at EA and a lot of people's salaries. And I'm not surprised that they were like, hey, you know what? What if we just said no? What if you told us we can't do this and we said, yeah, come at me, bro. Let's go.
Bold.
I mean, it is bold, right? The idea that they're saying, I don't care if you tell me this is against the law in Belgium. What are you going to do? Take us to court? Let's go.
So off they go to court then, maybe.
Yeah, so there is no confirmation that there's actually going to be a court hearing about this. I would imagine that the prosecutor is going to meet with EA's legal team and they'll have some kind of settlement outside of court. That bringing this to court would be a long, drawn out thing for EA, and not that they can't afford it, but too. That's the more important part, is that it would just give them a continued bad PR cycle that they don't need.
When they are already trying to shake off this image that they have after the Battlefront debacle of being perhaps the most pernicious of all the microtransacting companies.
Right.
I mean, they had a very embarrassing climb down over the Star Wars loot boxes.
They did, and it was interesting seeing the response at E3. obviously, I worked with EA during EA Play and hosted their press conference, and I had the opportunity to have several conversations with the team members, about the loot boxes and about their response. And it was really inspiring to me that they genuinely wanted to make it right, that it didn't feel forced. It didn't feel like they were caving to pressure. It felt like they truly believed that they screwed this up. And they're like, we never wanted to hurt the players. We never wanted to hurt the community. We want to make it right. And that's what they're trying to do now. It just is frustrating that EA is such a massive company that one department over here could be, completely contradicting a department over here who's like, hey, we're trying to fix this, and this department over here is like, hey, we're not gonna give in to what the Belgian government wants. And it's like, I'm sure the guys at one side of the company are like, hey, stop it, you're ruining everything that we've been trying to fix.
I think maybe the difference is that with Star Wars, it was a brand new game. It was kind of hobbled right out of the gate. The publicity was terrible immediately. And I think, Disney got involved and said, you're embarrassing Star Wars. Stop this immediately.
Right.
And right after that phone call happened, they backtracked. So I'm sure they had high hopes for, some kind of new currency stream through Star Wars. Somebody told me it's either EA or Activision, one of these companies has a standard now, a rule whereby basically for every game that they sell, to every consumer, they ultimately want to get 3 times the cost of the sale of the game back from them, which is to say, you buy the game for $60, but they want another. But before the life of the game is done, they want to microtransact another $120 out of you by selling you in-game currency and stuff like that. So every game, they essentially are selling you the 3 copies of the game once you're done buying everything.
That's kind of a high bar to reach.
It's a high bar to reach, but you see how they're trying to do it. Which the point I was going to make was with Star Wars. It happened immediately. The publicity was terrible. There was external corporate pressure, and they did cave. With FIFA, where, as you said, they've got a history of, this thing's worth $500 million a year to us. Yeah, I think we will go to court on this one. FIFA's a different animal.
Right.
They've got a long track record of making a huge amount of money. FIFA doesn't care. FIFA's a corrupt organization. They're not going to say, hey, you're embarrassing. You're embarrassing FIFA. FIFA embarrasses FIFA on a daily basis. So FIFA's not going to put any pressure on them. This now so where does it have to come from? Well, it has to come from legislators and public defenders and servants who are saying, hey, we don't like what you're doing here. So I say fair play to the Belgians. It's not just chocolate and waffles anymore. They're also cracking down on predatory video game practices. So I like it.
Well, just to be devil's advocate for a second, It's interesting to me that the focus is on FIFA. And like we've mentioned, it makes them a lot of money. If people were truly upset and hated these loot boxes, they wouldn't continue to buy them, right? Like every year FIFA comes out, they continue to make a ton of money from these Ultimate Team boxes. And if the community was like, these are gross, we hate them, how dare you, why would people keep buying them?
Well, the problem is these are marketed at children.
FIFA's not marketed towards kids.
You don't think kids play FIFA?
That's not what I said.
Well, okay, but a lot
of kids play Call of Duty, but Activision does not market that to 8-year-olds. We also saw this for years where cigarette companies would say, Joe Camel isn't intended to appeal to kids, but come on, we all know what was really going on. Do you honestly think that?
Yes.
I don't. I think that video games are appealing to people of all ages, but that the publishers have done they've done their due diligence to make sure that they're not intentionally marketing games that are mature rated games or games that are meant for an older audience, whether that be a teenage audience or a young adult audience. And the problem is that video games are so fun to play that a lot of parents don't bother to stop their kids from playing them. We've all had a story where we've been playing in an online lobby of a shooter, of a violent game that a kid who's like 8 years old probably shouldn't be playing, but they've been on voice chat like fucking wrecking shop. Like that's common. And I think that burden is not on the publisher. That burden's on parents. And to try to say that it's the publisher's fault that kids are playing their games is, quite frankly, I think unfair. I
think it's a shared burden. I think the parents take responsibility, but I think you have a corporate responsibility as well. I do remember that one letter from a school teacher in England who was saying, it's a real problem. All I see all day is kids taking their lunch money and spending them on like FIFA Ultimate Team credit cards, game credit cards. And it's kids cannot be trusted to make responsible decisions about how to
does
spend
your
money.
kid have money? Your kid doesn't have a job. If they have money, they got it
No,
from their
they get an
parents.
allowance, they get lunch money and things like that. And
Yeah.
it is partly the responsibility of parents to make sure that money gets spent in the way it's intended.
Right.
But they can't watch their kids every minute of the day. You don't think corporations have any responsibility towards how they market to children at all?
No, that's not what I said. I think they're doing their due diligence. But I
Okay.
think that there's a line that you can't expect the marketing of these video games to go to, a length that I think is unreasonable and an undue burden on the behalf of the publishers to say that they can only do so much to safeguard a young audience, people who are minors, from the choices they're going to make. Like you said, it's a combined effort, right? Like there has to be some personal responsibility here on the behalf of not only the kids who are making the bad choices, but also the parents who are maybe not monitoring these choices that their kids are making. You just in the last story talked about how difficult it was to jump through some of these hoops that the consoles have made for parents and for kids. So if a kid is able to finally get to the point of transaction, either the kid is wicked smart and figured out how to get around all of the safe gates or whatever, or the parent has said, I don't care, I'll give you access.
I mean, you don't have to be that smart to take cash into a GameStop and buy it and pick a card off of the rack and buy it and transact your real money into EA FIFA dollars.
But if that's the way the kid wants to spend their allowance, why is that a problem?
But what if a kid wants to spend it on cigarettes? Is that okay as well?
You can't buy cigarettes; it's against the law.
But again,
So you
as you said, they do it all the time.
Microtransactions
So they've
against the law.
That's right. You can't buy. You can't buy because they have made it against the law. Is it your opinion that the Belgian government is overreaching in this case?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Okay. I think this is one of those agree to disagree type things.
Okay.
Maybe it's different because
Do you think people should be carded when they want to go buy microtransactions in video games, like in a physical store? Like if I was to walk into GameStop here in the United States and I'm 14 years old and my mom has given me permission, she's like, here's $30. Go down to GameStop if you want to buy like a used game from the bin or a t-shirt or whatever. You can spend it on whatever you want. So I walk in there and I pull down, like an Xbox Live card or like a let's say a Shark card, because a GTA Online uses these cards to buy in-game currency for GTA. So you think when I go up to the register, the person at the register should look at me and go, hey, you don't quite look like you're 18. Let me card you, like at a movie theater.
This is why it's complicated, because the kind of things that you can buy, the cards you can take off a rack, you can buy Xbox Live credit and things like that. Mm-hmm. That is essentially just changing real money for Disney dollars. And I understand that. It's money that can only be spent inside their ecosystem. And I do see your side of it as well. I try to see both sides of this. It's tricky. As a parent, I tend to be like super protective about these things now. And I tend to, if I'm going to I'll err on the side of caution rather than on the side of kind of, let kids do what they want. I understand how other people would have a different view. With video games, it's really difficult because everything is different. Loot boxes, once you introduce an element of randomization and chance, that's when it starts to get tricky for me, because neurons start firing that get excited about what's going to be in the box. You know that moment when a loot box is kind of bursting and it goes, boom!
Oh no, I do.
You get a little endorphin rush, right? Because it's not that you're getting something, it's that you don't yet know what you're getting. And
but you are getting something, and that's been EA's stance against Belgium's ruling, that when I go to Vegas and I'm playing a slot machine, which I enjoy doing. I like the slots in Vegas.
Right.
When I put my money into that slot machine, odds are I ain't getting anything back. And I just put my money in and my money's gone.
Yes.
And EA's stance is that when you put your money into the slot machine of a loot box, and this is the stance that a lot of other publishers have had, is that you always get something back. It might not be the item that you want, but you're never going to come away empty-handed with nothing.
Yeah, I get it. I think the argument, the randomization argument, is that what you see with EA Element Team is that, you buy you get these packs and you get these player cards. Everybody wants to have like Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi or like one of the top players in the world. They're randomized,
right?
So you got to keep buying the packs until they get the ones that you want. On the one hand, I go, that's kind of gross. On the other hand, when I was a kid, I used to have these albums, these things called Panini stickers, and you would peel off the stickers and put in the pictures of the teams and the players on the teams, and you would like collect the set. When you bought the packets, they were random. You didn't know what you would get, and then you would trade the card. It's like baseball cards. You would trade the ones that you didn't get. They were random, but you would always. Even as a kid, I remember feeling that like need for like I gotta get that player that I really want, and so I'd buy and then try and trade the ones that I had duplicates of. And so anytime that a kid is going, I don't know what I'm going to get, but I'm excited about the mystery of it. That to me is just a little too close to watching the wheels on the slot machine. That endorphin rush that you get. The most exciting part of a slot machine, or when you play black, I just came back from Vegas, so I know exactly this feeling, is right before they turn the card over, right before the wheels are about to lock into place. That's when you've never felt more alive, right? And that's the neurological appeal of gambling. And I don't think kids should be getting stimulated in that way. And again, I'm fully aware that I may be erring too much on the side of caution here, but I don't like kids taking their lunch money and buying FIFA points with them.
No, listen, I'm with you. I'm saying I'm making this argument as the devil's advocate because I think that it's such a slippery slope when we start making things like this illegal, and then we have to write legislations, and then we have to have somebody enforcing these laws, and then there's a whole system of like, well, what are the punishments going to be? And then we have to enforce the punishments, and like it kind of errs on that side of like big government that I'm like, hey, maybe we don't need to get the government involved
I'm
in this at all. Joey, did you have something to add?
I do.
Joey on the shock mic.
I think it's an interesting
Wait,
conversation.
I'm sorry.
Okay, Kevin's got to turn you on real quick.
I think this conversation is very interesting, but I don't necessarily. I just have in my mind, like when my parents gave me money to do like the little like toy vending machines like at the pizza parlor or whatever,
right?
You know that you're getting something back and you don't know what it is. So I feel like it's just kind of like a digital version of that.
Exactly.
Yeah, and again, that's why I think there is an argument that is totally harmless. I'm still.
But if I can interject,
Andy's in.
Yeah, if I can.
Everyone's getting in on this one. This is my ultimate nightmare, a Loot Crate conversation that will not end, that everyone's involved
I just
in.
want to say, like, the difference is, though, accessibility. This is in your house. At any point, you could just go online and connect to it versus going to a restaurant where that's kind of like fun feature that you get to enjoy.
But they're at their grocery store. They're kind of everywhere.
Yeah, but you're not there everywhere.
Kevin, that was my point in when it comes back to access to money, right? Mm-hmm. So if a kid is, let's say, 11 years old and is playing FIFA or is playing Fortnite, which also has, microtransactions, or any other game that has digital currency, right? Yeah. How do they get money to play in that game? That money obviously comes from their parents or from a guardian of some kind, right? An adult that has earned that money.
Sure.
Someone has given them that money for work, and then that person then gives it to the child. And so at that point, the person who's giving the kid money either has to set parameters about what that money is used for, and then that becomes an issue between the child and the guardian. Or you don't give that kid money, and then this isn't a problem. They can only use their in-game currency that they've earned to play.
Isn't this a similar situation to like McDonald's had years ago with the supersize option, where it's like, well, we're not making you buy the supersize option. It's just it's a good deal. You should take it if you want it. And then people we're overeating.
You can't keep protecting people from themselves. That's what it just comes back to.
Andrea is of a more libertarian streak than I am, and I totally.
Where's Colin when I need him?
I totally respect that. Here's the good news for you, Andrea. You never have to worry about this coming here. Europe has very, very strict consumer protection laws where we see things like this, what you would consider to be overreach.
Yeah.
Certainly not under the current administration will you ever see anything like this.
No,
because
the
corporate
United
lobbyists
States
will
loves
always,
money and free enterprise.
They will always protect their right to make billions of dollars, even if it is in slightly shady ways. So I think it's an interesting conversation which we're going to continue to have forever. It seems
it's never going away, Gary.
And there are. I mean, I definitely I see both sides of it. My kid buys these things called blind bags. Have you seen blind bags?
Yes.
Where you don't know what you're going to get inside them, but you keep buying them
they
until you
do
get the
blind
one that
boxes
you
all
want.
over now.
So there's a randomization. Again, that feeling of like, what am I going to get? What am I going to get? That to me is too close to gambling for comfort, and you do start to see.
Give into the rush, Gary.
You have no idea how much money I just lost in Vegas. Trust me, I know all about the rush. I know all about it. Well, what's it going to be? One card left in the deck that can help me. What will it please?
Double down. Let's go.
Let's go. Yes, I'm all in. I know the feeling. The feeling. I think probably the closest thing that I have to a compulsive behavior is with gambling. I quit drinking. I don't have any nefarious habits. But if you put me in front of some green felt and I hear the click of the chips and the feeling and that shoe being shuffled, it's perhaps because I'm a parent. I'm very protective of my kid, and because I know how intoxicating gambling can be. You put the two together, and that's how I've arrived at my take on this. But I also totally
Yeah.
appreciate your point of view on it as well.
Well, then we'll let you guys decide. I'm sure there will be plenty of debate raging in the comments on this video, but we have spent a lot of time on this. We're already
Again,
at 40 minutes, and we're only on the third item
conversation
of the
that will
Robo
not
Report.
die.
Keep it civil.
Yeah,
in the
so
comments, for God's sakes.
we're gonna try to, yes, please do keep it civil. No name calling. Try to have adult conversations. I believe in you. You're capable. We're gonna try to run through these next two stories so we can get to reader mail. Alan Wake is coming to TV. This write-up comes from Charlie Hall over at Polygon. A live-action series based on the atmospheric adventure horror game is in the works with showrunner Peter Calloway, which is of the Cloak and Dagger and Legion, at the helm. Calloway is also said to be writing the series. Developer Remedy Entertainment is on board for the project and will be partnering with Contradiction Films. The game's creator, Sam Lake, will be the executive producer. The announcement comes from Variety, which spoke to a member of Contradiction Films about the project. Quote, Alan Wake was basically a TV series that was put into a game, said Contradiction's Thomas Harlan. That was Sam Lake's vision. It was influenced by The Twilight Zone, Secret Window, Hitchcock, Northern Exposure, and a lot of U.S. television. We plan to work closely with Sam on this show.
This show, someone did not
Copyright,
check this,
Sam is a huge part of this. This is his baby. So just a little refresher for everybody, the Alan Wake franchise began back in 2010 with the release of Alan Wake for 360 and PC. Of course, it's a psychological thriller that put players in the role of a middle-aged author in Bright Falls, a fictional town in the Pacific Northwest. In 2012, Remedy released Alan Wake's American Nightmare. Critics were lukewarm on the sequel, but Polygon noted that the game felt more like a detour than a true follow-up, as Polygon revealed in 2015 that there was a much larger effort underway to create Alan Wake 2, but the project eventually was shelved, and nonetheless, the game casts a long shadow and remains influential to this day.
Do you ever play Alan Wake?
I played like half of it, and then I was like, meh.
Not your cup of tea?
Yeah, it just wasn't for me. These
Okay.
kinds of thriller games I'm not super into. It's more of Brittany's bag of tea.
I can see why they might be making this show at this time, though, because you look at like the success of like Castle Rock on Hulu and a bunch of other, American Horror Story. Like horror is very, very hot right now, especially on the TV side. So you throw in a semi. I wouldn't say it's a AAA property, but it's a fairly well-known video game property. Throw it together with the horror genre. Yeah, someone's going to make a deal to do that.
Yeah, and the style of the game lends itself to being made into a live-action property as well. So I think that this is an interesting concept. Obviously, we know, you know very intimately that just because a project is announced to be coming to TV doesn't necessarily mean that it will ever actually come to TV, or it might not come for several more years.
They usually wait until they've reached a certain degree of confidence that something's going to happen before they'll announce it. But yeah, I would say still, and I'm not trying to handicap this in a negative way at all, but yeah, it's still as likely than not you'll actually see a show at the end of this process. But they usually wait until they're at a point of like, yeah, we can say that we're doing something now because we feel fairly confident this is going to come together. Usually when they have a production partner or a studio, they're ready to make that announcement. So we'll see. My wife would certainly like it. She loves this kind of stuff. She loves spooky shit. So she loves survival horror, horror games, horror TV,
for spooky
horror
shit
films.
on TV. I love like Stranger Things and horror movies.
You don't like the survival horror genre of games?
I don't like the agency that I'm forced to take in a survival horror game.
Does it make it too intense for you that if you're the person? Yeah.
I like being a passive viewer of the horrors. I don't like having to be forced into taking
That's
action.
why I think video games are actually arguably the best genre for horror, because it's happening to you. Like you said, you're not that passive. You're not saying like, you're not shouting at the person on the screen going, don't go down the stairs. It's like you are the one going down the stairs and shit is jumping out at you. Like, you ever tried VR horror? Oh my God, I can't even go near it.
No, get away
They tried to get me to play, what was it, Paranormal Activity in VR, and
The
I was just like, nope.
I was at Comic-Con a few years ago when it was before it was released, but they had the first demo of PlayStation VR. And I was there with Major Nelson was there, Megan Scavio from AIS was there, and we were all having fun playing the games together. And we played like a bunch of fun stuff. And then they said, and now, our favorite thing. And I said, what is it? And they said, well, just try it. And I said, no, because VR is like really intense. I need to know. I need to at least have a sense of like what I'm getting into
right.
before I'll put the headset on. And they said, well, let me ask you this. Have you ever seen any Japanese horror films? And I went, get that thing the fuck away from me.
No way.
I want nothing to... It was called The Kitchen.
Those are...
shit, yeah. No.
And it was... it's called The Kitchen. I went, I need to know a bit more about this kitchen before I'm going to virtually enter it. And they said, have you seen Japanese horror? Nope. Big nope. The last
Noping
horror
right out
game
of
I
there.
played was Fatal Frame 2 on the PS2. And that game fucked me up so bad. It fucked me up for
Scary
life.
game, dude. That
Even
game's awful.
even the pause mode fucks with you. You put it. I put it on pause, and I took a phone call. And like, if you leave the game on pause for long enough, scary ass faces start to kind of appear out of the screen at you, like just so gradually and slowly that you almost don't
That's
notice
dirty.
it. Yeah, it's
the
really
box scares
dirty.
me on that game.
The what?
The box art. I just remember like Tim had it sitting there. And
The
he
whole
knows that
Japanese
this game is
ghost
terrifying.
thing
Like,
is just too much for me.
Yep.
And those
No, thank
there's
you.
Japanese ghosts a go just jumping out at you constantly in that game. Too much. Too much.
Not doing it.
Yeah, I
Not
agree.
happening.
Big nope from me.
So we will, of course, keep you guys updated if we get any news in the future about the Alan Wake TV series. The last item on the Roper Report, Riot taps former Uber executive to help reform corporate culture. This write-up comes from Imran Kahn over at Game Informer. Now, I know what you're thinking. Riot is tapping Uber? That seems like the wrong call, but let me explain. Or let Imran explain. Riot Games has been the subject of a hurricane of controversy over the last month and a half. A report about the culture of toxicity and sexual harassment rocked the company, leading to a number of current and former employees speaking up about the emphasis on a cultural fit within the company and the harassment that trickled down from it. Recently, Riot promised to do better and has made a highly visible hire to make progress towards that goal. Francis Frey, a former executive at the rideshare service Uber and former Harvard Business School professor, has been tapped to join Riot. Frey was a strong driving force at both those organizations for diversity and inclusion, having been brought into Uber to help fix the company's reputation for contentious and often virulent corporate culture. Is that how you say that word? Virulent. Thank you, Gary. Frey has been meeting with Riot's CEO and executives over the last few weeks to get an immediate jump on the problem with the League of Legends developer. Riot recently let two high-profile employees go, at least one for violating a social media policy after they publicly scolded the community for its reaction to an exclusively female and non-binary panel at PAX West. So this is an interesting story. I, of course, when I saw the headline, was like, didn't Uber have like their own
read like an
set of
Onion
huge
headline when I first saw it. I was like, seriously?
No, seriously, yeah. But it does sound like they are bringing in the fixer who Uber brought in to
Who
help
helped fix
them.
Uber, yeah. Because Uber
Yeah.
had some very serious problems of its own.
Absolutely. And I think they probably still continue to have problems. This is not something that you bring in one person, you do a couple seminars with the
No, these
leadership,
things
and
don't
then
get
it
changed overnight.
fixed. Yeah, it takes months, if not years, to change the kind of culture that's been ingrained in a lot of people. And thankfully, there's a lot of people out there who are willing to listen and willing to examine their behavior and say, hey, am I part of this problem? What can I do to help make sure that the work environment that I foster is as inclusive as possible and doesn't make people feel, harassed or discriminated against? So I'm not, intimately familiar with Francis and the work that Francis has done, but I think that this is good. It's good that Riot's publicly taking steps towards saying, hey, we recognize that we have an internal issue and we want to make it right.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit before the show. I was here on a previous show when Riot first put out its statement. And I can't remember who I was hosting, but it was either Jared or Greggy. But I said to them, this statement makes all the right noises. It feels good. It sounds like they're owning this and they're going to do the right things. But now let's see what they actually do. And this is one of the things that they're doing. Again, it looks positive. We all want Riot to clean up their act, so I'm rooting for them. And let's hope that this is among the many steps that they're taking to, as you say, embark on the very. Because as we said, these things don't get changed overnight. This is a long process to kind of re-educate people and change. A culture is such an endemic thing at a company that you can't just say, well, the culture's different today, right? There's a lot of steps and a lot of training and all kinds of things that you have to go through to kind of engender that culture change from the ground up, and they appear to be doing those things. So, well, again, time will tell. But for right now, it does seem like they are backing up their words with action. So good for them.
Yeah, and Riot has a very specific culture on top of, this proposed or alleged cultural fit that they have, is that everyone that I know that's either interviewed at Riot or is currently working at Riot or has formerly worked at Riot talks about how stringent they are about you fitting into the company culture before you get hired.
Right.
Down to several lengthy interviews for even kind of the most junior of positions at the company, and how you have to play the game in order to even really be considered at all, and how they have a very specific kind of culture. So I'm glad that they're taking steps to recognize that, like, maybe that was a mistake to make it so rigid for people to be part of this culture at Riot. Maybe we should loosen up just a little bit and recognize that could really bar people or turn people off from wanting to work at Riot, or to make them feel like they're not included at the company if they do finally get hired. I want to commend them on the PAX West activation that they did. So they had this wall up by the Diversity Lounge where anybody could come by and write a note of encouragement on a Post-it note and stick it on the wall. And there were thousands of Post-its by the end of the weekend. And it was inspired by an organic movement that happened inside the ladies' restrooms at Riot itself, where women were sticking notes on the bathroom mirror as an encouragement to other women who may have gone through experiences at Riot, to say, hey, you're not alone. We're thinking of you. We're here to support you. We're in this together. If you need help, reach out. We're here. And so I thought that was a really cool step for them to publicly take this movement that happened organically at their company and take it public and say, we want people to know, like, that you're not alone, and that if you're suffering from any of these issues, harassment or discrimination, we want you to feel, brave enough to come forward knowing that you have support. That's
definitely a feel-good story. The other side of it, though, is like, how bad must it have been that people were doing that, leaving secret Post-it notes to themselves in a female-only area? That's messed up. As a woman in games, Gary, it's always much worse than you guys think it is. I can't even begin to imagine. Every woman I know in this business, and really every woman I know in life, has a story. Like, the Me Too movement didn't happen without a reason, right? Like it's ubiquitous in a really sad way. And I'm glad to see that there's a lot of companies that are, like, finally recognizing how ubiquitous it is and saying, we want to stop this. We want to change. We want to make it better. So I'm glad to hear this. I hope things get better for anybody who's suffering at Riot. And I know lots of women who have had nothing but positive experiences at Riot. So I want to say that as well, that a lot of women I know there are saying that they love working there and it's been nothing but a great experience. So there's that as well. So we will keep tabs on this story, and hopefully we won't have any more updates, because it means that they're fixing everything. So, all right, let's move on. And I should be doing some kind of a Greg way here, but I don't. Yeah, I was thinking, how are you going to Greg way into this? Gary, if people wanted to know what was coming to the Mom and Grab digital shops today, where would they go? I don't know if I can do this without a Greg way. I'm all thrown off now. Like, you're just throwing it at me without that nice smooth. That smooth interstitial that Greg would always do. I've been gone for 2 weeks. I'm just gonna push through the official list of upcoming software across each and every platform, as listed by the Kind of Funny Games Daily Show hosts, each and every weekday. Yeah. That was good. I'll give you points for that. I was waiting for Kevin to help me, and he was like, "No, you have to start it." That makes up for the lack of a. No, that was good. Come on, you don't come in here and judge me. This is what you get when you come in and shout at Nick. He's going to return. Don't you remember the way Tim used to do it? He used to be like, do. Yeah. So at least I put some effort in. Kevin goes, do. And you're like, what 80s TV or commercial theme song are you guys trying to sing? Have you heard Greg do it? He does it. Now do you see what you've done? You came in and you rankled Nick during the morning show, and now he's emerged to pay back the favor. Yeah, now I feel emboldened and empowered to interrupt your show, even though people are probably not enjoying my voice right now. No, everyone loves your voice. They love your dulcet tones. Yeah. I want to give a shout out to you guys. You guys both look great today. Gary, you're looking fantastic. Well, because I knew I was hosting with Andrea, I felt like I had to raise. She always is very well turned out. Oh, thank you. I felt I had to, for sure. Well, and usually the other Jared usually makes about the same level of effort as me, but Greg's always well dressed as well. I usually just come in like looking fairly shabby, but when I know that Greg's going to be well dressed or Andrea's going to be here, like it's just like the split screen is not good for me if I don't make at least some kind of. It does not look good for me if I don't make at least some kind of. So I at least threw on a clean shirt.
I should probably take that advice into consideration.
You know what's amazing though is that how this is a perfect example of how lowering expectations can really work for you. Because I usually look fairly slobby and I don't usually make much of an effort. All I have to do is throw on a collared shirt and people are like, "Damn, Gary, you're looking good today." Like, well, yeah, all I did was bring my standard up to the minimum acceptable level.
Right.
But by the standards you usually apply to me, I'm like in a tuxedo right now.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that.
That's the difference.
I appreciate that. Well, a little effort
Must
goes
be
a long
nice to
way.
have such a low bar.
We have.
Again,
I didn't know there was a bar.
That male privilege. See, if you came in here wearing like the same t-shirt you'd be wearing at home for the last 2 days and sweatpants, you get a bunch of shit. No one says anything to me.
I would get a bunch of shit.
You would get a bunch of shit.
If I don't wear makeup and don't do anything, I get shit. If I wear makeup and actually do something, I get shit. There's really no winning for me.
One of my favorite things that I love about this office is that occasionally Gary, even though he doesn't have anything to do, will just drop by to hang out for a little bit and steal LaCroix and then bounce out. It's amazing.
Every
You
now and
wanted to
again,
steal
if
the
we're low on
LaCroix,
LaCroix and I'm in the neighborhood, I will
Stop
come by
by,
and take some.
I mean, there's
Absolutely.
still LaCroix under the tarp outside, so
Yeah,
you
make
gotta
sure you're washing the LaCroix, by the way. as you
Oh
take
my
it
god,
home.
we had one that we brought one back and it was outside and the cardboard around it had basically turned to like this gross mush.
Yeah, you
the
got
moldy
it.
one.
It's horrible. We had
Wait,
to
they're
sure
molding under
we
there?
had to rinse off all
Not
of the
under
cans.
it.
It was gross.
Just to be
I'll be-
clear, they're not molding under the tarp. The ones that we had to put some just outside on their own.
Right.
Those got covered in rain and were left out there for about a month and a half.
Also, to be clear, we haven't checked the ones under the tarp yet.
No,
so
we
we
I'm
don't
sure the
know
ones
what
under the
they're-
top are not looking
I
brilliant.
bet you it's
sure
worse.
they're
No, I bet you it's worse. Good news is that mold hopefully can't jump
Yeah.
through aluminum.
I'd be
so
I'd be afraid to look under that top at this point.
Rinse them off or something. All right.
You have to rinse them off.
We're running really long. We got to keep going. I'm going to kind of run through this so we can get to our awesome sponsors. Out today, Adios Amigos on Xbox One, Construction Simulator 2, the US Console Edition for PS4 and Xbox One, Fossil Hunters on Xbox One and PS4, the Forza Horizon 4 demo is here on Xbox One and PC, Grandpa and the Zombies is on Switch, Revenant Dogma is on Xbox One, Stay is on PS4 and Vita, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, the Croft Edition is on PS4 and Xbox One and PC, and I've heard for everybody listening that if you are interested, GameStop is selling the physical copies of all versions today. And I've heard this from people who work at GameStop, and I saw a post about it. So if you're like, I didn't buy the Croft Edition, but I want it today, you have to get the physical copy. If you have a digital copy of the regular edition, I believe you still have to wait until the 14th. All right. Super Seducer 2 is on PC.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no, screw that game. Time Carnage is on Xbox One and Switch. Uno for PlayLink is on PS4. So this is a free update if you already have Uno. It allows you to play on PlayLink with your phone for PlayStation. New dates, I didn't see any. So if I missed one, please, kindoffunny.com/you'rewrong, send that in. I looked around, didn't see any
What
new
is
dates.
the Craft Edition? Is that like some kind of super fancy edition?
Yeah, it comes with digital in-game items.
Okay. I didn't realize Shadow of the Tomb Raider had dropped already. I thought it was still like a week or two away. It's out
Well,
now.
technically it's out on September 14th.
So what it's about if you buy the Super Duper
You get
Edition, you get
48 hours of early access.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a new way they get you. You can get it early, but you have to buy the super.
We actually
super
have
expensive
a question
edition.
about this in just
Okay.
a second. Deal of the day for you. This comes from Steven. He says, I've seen a lot of people trying to get codes for the COD Blackout, that's Call of Duty Blackout beta, and I just wanted to let the best friends with Xfinity from Comcast know that they can get 4 codes if they log in at xfinity.com/Call of Duty. You must redeem them by September 14th, and the beta runs through Monday, September 17th. Enjoy and share any extra codes if you have them. I jumped into that last night, and it is real fun. If you
I've been watching a bit of it. I haven't played it, but I was watching some streamers play it on Twitch. Does look good.
Yeah, and Andy gave his impressions and a little bit of a mini report on KFGD yesterday. So if you guys missed that, you can check that out there. And then Mizuki P765 writes in and says, Hi, Kinda Funny Games Daily Crew. This isn't a question so much as a giveaway of sorts. I'm a PC geek and recently rebuilt my desktop. It just so happens that my video card came with a Destiny 2 vanilla code for PC. Now, I already own Destiny 2, and I thought it'd be great to give back to the Kinda Funny best friends out there. So here's the code. And we will write this in the show notes, but I have a feeling it'll be gone by the time that
If
happens.
you're listening to this on a podcast or watching on YouTube, this code's going to be gone. Someone on Twitch right now is going to get it.
Read it.
I'm going to read it.
Read it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it'll be gone. So there's no reason to put it.
Yeah, so okay, we don't need to put it
Do you
in the
want to
show notes.
alternate it? We'll do one block. We'll do one block each.
Sure.
Until we're done.
RMMC
83VG
TD6NP
BJ 8H
4KDS.
Andy loves it. Whenever I go,
Stop calling me Andy. I'm
sorry, Kevin. Whenever I go really low with humor,
Yeah.
he cannot get enough of it.
Oh, it's
he
good
loves
stuff.
it. He
It's
cracks
good
up anytime
stuff.
I go like really like the potty humor. Can you imagine if it had been BJ69?
Oh my
That would have been like a
gosh.
double
God.
nice.
All right, I'm
No.
going to read it one more time real fast.
Okay.
RMMC 83VG TD 6NP BJH 8H 4KDS.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
First of all, I have two questions for you. Why do Xbox codes
This
and
isn't
PC codes have to be longer than PlayStation codes?
This is a question I do
PlayStation
not
codes
know.
are way shorter.
It's true.
Why can't Xbox figure that out?
I don't know.
Secondly, have you ever typed in one of these codes and had it work the first time?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I need to know your trick because it never works for. I always
I
get something
triple
wrong the
check
first
it as
time.
I go.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
I always get it wrong first time.
All right, on to reader mail, and it's brought to you by Brooklinen and Loot Crate. So Brooklinen, you guys know we've been talking about this awesome sheet company for quite some time. Greg and Tim sleep on brooklinen.com sheets, and they love them. They are the winner of the best online bedding category by Good Housekeeping. Brooklinen is the fastest growing bedding brand in the world with over 20,000 5-star reviews. That is a lot of 5-star reviews. These sheets are soft, the colors are vibrant, and so easy to mix and match. Go to brooklinen.com and click between colors and styles and find what's right for you. You guys need new sheets. Just admit it. You probably do. Most bedding, though, is marked up by as much as 300%, but not at Brooklinen. They drop the middleman and ship straight to you. Greg's Brooklinen sheets are the best, most comfortable sheets that he's ever slept in, and you can see them featured on his Instagram all the time with Porty. Let's be honest, you're really going for Porty, but I mean, the sheets are really cool too. You guys can get $20 off and free shipping when you use the promo code GAMES at brooklinen.com checkout. Brooklinen is so sure you're going to love your new sheets. They offer a risk-free 60-night satisfaction guarantee with a lifetime warranty on all of their sheets and comforters. But the only way to get your $20 off and free shipping is to use that promo code GAMES at brooklinen.com. That's BROOKLINEN.com. Don't forget promo code GAMES. That really helps us out here at Kinda Funny. We would really appreciate it if you guys use that code. Brooklinen. These are really the best sheets ever. Our other sponsor today is Loot Crate. That's right, you guys. Loot Crate is back to sponsoring us. Well, back. I don't know if they've sponsored
did.
Kinda Funny in the past.
They have.
Yeah, so I mean, I love Loot Crate. It's been a while since I've gotten one, actually.
So much fun.
I know they have such cool stuff. So if you guys didn't know, Loot Crate is a monthly subscription box delivered direct to your door with exclusive pop culture collectibles, apparel, and gear. Loot Crate curates and designs everything themselves. You can't find these items anywhere else. Now, I've gotten tons of Mass Effect items. Greg's gotten tons of Ghostbuster and DC collectibles from Loot Crate, and you can too. Each month has a theme, and this month's is First Contact with an out-of-this-world items featuring Marvel's Venom, Alien, Predator, and X-Files. And you got guaranteed t-shirts in every crate. Loot Crate packs $50 of value into each crate for less than $20 a month, so you can't lose. This crate is going to sell out, you guys, and you only have until Wednesday, September 19th at 6 p.m. to guarantee your order, or this crate will be gone forever. Now get the best surprises each month from the largest geek and gaming subscription company. Geek out in style with Loot Crate. Subscribe now by going to lootcrate.com/games and enter GAMES as your code to save an exclusive 15% off your subscription. Again, that's lootcrate.com/games and enter the code GAMES to save 15% off your subscription. Thank you so much to both of those sponsors for bringing you Kinda Funny games daily. So we're pretty late.
It's not that bad. I've seen it way worse than this.
I know, but I'm looking at the actual time and how I'm supposed to be home in 40 minutes.
Oh, my goodness.
So what we're going to do is we're probably going to have to streamline some of these. And just so you guys know, since I did tweet out asking for your questions on Destiny 2 Forsaken and Shadow of the Tomb Raider, if we don't get to some of them today, I can kick some of them to the show tomorrow with Jared. Have you played Destiny 2 Forsaken or Shadow of the Tomb Raider?
No, I played Vanilla Destiny 2. I haven't played the new.
The new expansion?
I got super bored with it before.
Well, you're playing
Forsaken came
Spider-Man
out.
right now.
I'm all about Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you are.
It's the best.
Yeah, John just finished it last night. I think
Oh,
he
he
just
did?
100%ed it last night.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, well, he wanted to see his names in the credits because he's got a really fun animated credit. Yeah, and he brought home his Spider-Man console yesterday. I'm really proud of him. He did
It's the first game
really
that I've
great
played in
job.
a long time that has me doing all the collectibles. Like I got every backpack. I've taken every landmark picture. I got every black cat
Dude, it's so much
stakeout.
fun until you get to the challenges.
Which
And then-
which challenges are
The
they?
challenge is the one where you have to chase the drones. Oh, I hate
Oh,
it so
I
much.
chasing. I don't really enjoy chasing the pigeons very much.
Yeah. Imagine that, but even harder because
Oh.
we're gonna get there.
Oh, jeez.
sucks.
When do they start popping up?
Later.
Okay. Just right. I'll look forward to it. Thank you.
No
Later.
worries, man.
Gary,
Yes.
Jason inquires, wants you to know it's National Video Game Day, everybody.
really? Oh, my
It
goodness.
is. To celebrate, instead of asking what is your favorite video game of all time, what is one video game that you beat and loved so much, even if they remastered it, you wouldn't play it again? To like not diminish the amazing experience you had.
I don't know if I that doesn't work for me, because if I loved it, I would want to, like, if they remastered any number of games, like if they remastered Half-Life 2, I would totally replay that again. And that's probably one of my all-time favorite games. I would want it. Wouldn't you want to do it again if they had? Or
Yeah, I would,
are there games
yeah.
you would just want to leave consigned to nostalgia? Not for me.
Maybe
I would
he
wanna
meant
go
you
back.
would play it again? Yeah, if I loved a game so much, I would definitely want to go back to it.
I think he's saying even if they remastered it, it seems pretty clear that like the games that I reject the premise of this question, Andrea, because if it's a game that I loved, I was just thinking about this the other day. I was thinking about Half-Life 2, because I think Danny O'Dwyer has been tweeting about Half-Life 2 recently for some reason, and I remember thinking I love that game so much, and it actually hasn't aged that badly, but I love it so much. If they were to do like a full-on remaster that made it look like today's standards, I would so want to play that again. And the same is true for any number of games like that I enjoyed from back in the day.
Pardon me for texting. I'm just texting my 2:00 appointment to be like, might be late, just so you know.
Fair enough.
I'm with you. I also kind of reject the premise of this question.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you writing in, Jason. We love that you guys like to be part of the show.
Now, I would say that there are some really old retro games that are best left consigned to memory. There have been any number of games that I've gone back and played on an emulator or on like the NES Classic or whatever, bust out like an old Atari 2600 game. In a lot of cases, those things are best left in your memory. They have not aged well, and you kind of look at it and they went, oh, and it kind of sullies your memory of it because you have fond memories of it through the kind of the rose-tinted, waxy lenses of nostalgia. But you come back to it like as a much older person, play it again. Oh yeah, this is actually kind of shitty, and leave it be. As they say, nostalgia ain't what it used to be.
Right.
What now?
Just both of your guys' response to the last like two comments is just like, okay. Yes,
I don't have anything further to add.
No, I think we've pretty much
Yeah.
exhausted it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, what's next?
So I had quite a few questions from you guys about Destiny 2. I really appreciate you guys coming in for that. So let's see here. Will says, Andrea, I was a diehard Destiny fan. I put in over 1,500 hours on Xbox and nearly another 1,000 when many of my friends moved to PlayStation. But when Destiny 2 came out, my friends never even managed to finish the raid before throwing in the towel.
Same here.
Now I have a great PC and I'm wondering if if Destiny 2 Forsaken is worth all the trouble buying and grinding to 40 and hoping to find best friends to raid with. Right now, Destiny just feels like an addiction that I remember fondly but could move on from. Is it worth it to relapse, or should I just continue on with these great single-player games that have made this year great? Wrapping up Spider-Man's Plat tonight and on to Tomb Raider on Friday. Thanks for all the stellar work you guys do and making my commute home great. Will from Seattle.
So I'm actually interested. I'm not a Destiny 2 player anymore, but I am interested in knowing the answer to this. Now that it's been out for a minute, are people responding to Forsaken? Is it doing the things it was supposed to do, like fix the game and get people back playing it?
They've definitely made a lot of really great quality of life improvements, and they continue to make them. Obviously, I was highly critical when Destiny 2 launched because there was a lot of things that were supposed to be fixed from Destiny that they didn't have fixed for the launch of Destiny 2. And when the last expansion, Curse of Osiris, Warmind came out, I was really upset that they, kind of punted all these changes to Forsaken. But now that Forsaken is here, I'm having a lot of fun with it. And more importantly, relevant to Will's question, I'm seeing tons of people in the online spaces. Last night, I was tooling around the Tangled Shore, which is one of the new public spaces in Forsaken. And I was doing a public event, and there were probably 8 people at the public event with me. And I haven't seen that many people at a single public event since launch of Destiny 2, maybe. So
that's the thing. This is another launch, isn't it? A lot of people are there right now because they're curious. They want to check out what's new. Has it been
but the
fixed?
last 2 expansions didn't have this kind of a reception the way that Forsaken has. And so I think that clearly the community has been reinvigorated by this and all the changes they've made and the things that they've added. And I would say it's worth it if you loved your experience with Destiny and you remember it fondly. If you look back at it and go, that was a really great time, you're going to have a really great time with Forsaken. And the grind to 40 isn't as bad as you think it is. And actually, the grind from 40 to 50 went a lot quicker than I thought it was going to as well. The grind from 500 light level upwards is really where it starts to slow down. But of course, you don't want to be able to max out your experience with a live service game in 2 weeks. So they had to put some roadblocks in there to kind of slow the progression down. And the new raid is dropping very soon, which I'm very excited about. I love this new area, this focus on the Awoken that they're bringing back. I don't want to spoil too much about some of the new spaces that you're going to get to explore in the Forsaken, but they've really brought a lot of content this time around, and the story elements of the content that they brought are much better than anything we've seen in the past couple of expansions. I would say right now it's hard for me to say if I liked the Taken King or Forsaken better. I haven't played enough of Forsaken to say, but the Taken King was really the last major story expansion that Destiny as a game got, and so I think it's worth your time is like the short answer.
Do you think it is successfully righting the ship? Because they were in some real trouble before this in terms of keeping players happy and keeping them around. People were just getting bored of the game.
That's true. They have added a lot more things. So DexDad82 writes in and says, "What's good, Andrea and Gary? I played Destiny since the beta for D1 and I was hardcore, rated every week with all 3 characters, did bounties and Crucible. But Warmind, aka Warm Wind, that's from What's Good Games, and COO broke me. I deleted the game. My question is, why are they charging so much more money for this DLC? This feels like a cash grab to me. I get they did so much, but why weren't most of these features in the base game, as many of them are changes to what make it like year 3 of D1. Is it okay to hold them accountable for their mistakes? As Greg has said many times, vote with my wallet and not purchase this DLC. Thanks for all you do. P.S. Gary, please keep shouting out these small streamers. It has been so much fun discovering some of these smaller channels."
Forsaken is $40.
Yeah.
That's a lot for DLC, isn't it?
Not for an expansion. Not for a full expansion. A lot of expansions are $39.99. Think about how much the expansions for like WoW are.
I guess, but what about the argument that he's making here is that a lot of it's just doing a lot of stuff that people might have rightly expected to be in the game in the first place.
Listen, I've had many Destiny 2 rants on this show, so I 100% understand where you're coming from, DexDad. But I would say this expansion is not just quality of life fixes that we were expecting at launch. There is a lot of additional story content. There's a lot of additional cutscenes. There's new missions to play. There's new strikes to play. There's a new raid. There's a whole new Crucible mode, Gambit, that's outside of regular Crucible. And there's 2 major new public areas that you can do patrols in and find adventures in. There's a whole new set of adventures. And they've brought back dailies in a way that is super exciting. You can do... Yeah, I know. Kevin's like pointing at my watch. They brought back daily story missions. They brought back daily Crucible bounties. They brought back bounties in a big way. There's a lot that they've brought back that's more than just some of the fixes. And I would love to talk to you guys more about it. But as Kevin is pointing out to me, we are like so far over where we're supposed to be for this show. There's so many questions about Shadow of the Tomb Raider that I also want to answer. So
It's cool for us. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin your day.
Yeah, well, let me see if this person
What
has
messed us up? Was it that damn loot crate conversation?
Well, we did talk about that a lot. We actually spent the most amount of time at the top of the show with the first story, which was the Nintendo story.
Oh, okay.
We spent almost 20 minutes on that.
Wow.
On that. We like to talk, and there's nothing wrong with talking. So there's a lot of these questions that I really want to get to. So some of your other Destiny questions, if you have more questions, send them in. I'll try to get them into the show with me and Jared tomorrow. Let me see if I can do one Tomb Raider question here. Hatters says, "Hello, busiest lady in the business, Andrea, and the legend that is Gary Whitta on this glorious Whitta Wednesday. My question to you is, 2 awesome people. I've played both the previous 2 games in the series of Tomb Raider, but seeing the trailers and previews, I'm not really getting excited for this one. So should I be excited? Rise of the Tomb Raider was a good improvement on the first one, but there doesn't seem to be the same jump with this one. Your thoughts would be greatly appreciated, and I will get back to Space Rocks while I wait for your answer." I would say from my experience, and I rolled credits on Tomb Raider last night at about 75% completion because there's a lot more open world stuff to do this time around, that there is a vast improvement from Rise of the Tomb Raider. The story in particular, the amount of focus that they've put on narrative this time around was incredibly refreshing. And I know that there's a lot of people that have seen some of the preliminary trailers and gameplay demos and are concerned that Lara as a character is kind of this cocky, asshole, selfish character, but she has an arc and it goes somewhere. And I don't want to spoil it for you guys because the narrative is really well done this time around. And it has such a great button on the end of it for this trilogy that I think you're going to be really happy with your decision. Not to mention the combat is revamped in a way that makes it a lot more fun. There's a lot more different enemy types this time around. The exploration is better. The sliders between exploration puzzles and puzzles, exploration, and combat really allow you to tailor the experience. If you really didn't like one of those three areas, you can ratchet it up or down. And that makes a huge difference in gameplay for me. During my playthrough, I utilized that and I really enjoyed it. That being said, there's a lot more I could say about it, but just a short answer for you hatters. I think you should be excited, particularly if you liked the first two games in the trilogy.
I did see a couple of, there's another question here that touches on this same issue. I did see a couple of videos going around that suppose, and I watched them and kind of agreed that some of the voice acting and some of the cinematic stuff was maybe a little bit ropey. Did you have that experience?
I did not have that experience. I mean, let's be honest, that you're never going to get a game that nails all of the NPC facial animations if there's an open world element. At least I haven't seen a game that has executed it perfectly, because making open world video games with NPCs that have conversations is difficult. And so when I'm watching it, so far of all the games that I've played that have something of this nature, Horizon Zero Dawn is kind of the gold standard for me as far as like animations amongst their NPCs. I never felt broken in the immersion in that game. There are a few times here and there where there's like a little bit of hitching, but it's not like Mass Effect Andromeda bad, right? It's not bad. It's not Assassin's Creed Unity bad. It never really bothered me. I'm playing on an Xbox One X and I've prioritized high frame rate. You can choose to prioritize high resolution instead, but I recommend doing frame rate. It gave me a really fantastic experience and I really didn't have any issues.
Was Assassin's Creed Unity the one where it had people faces almost like they'd been turned inside out? It's these horror shows.
Yeah, the eyeballs
the eyeballs popping out.
It was bad.
Good times.
All right, so Squad Up Phil on PSN, who is Filloss, so that's Filloss, says, we need a second Kinda Funny Destiny clan. 100 max is just not enough. Kinda Funny clan 2, let's do it. I thought there was a second Destiny clan. Maybe you guys can write in and let us know, but check him out on PlayStation. Filloss wants to get into some Destiny if there's a clan. Highly recommend going to the Facebook group. You might find something there. Let's quickly look at You're Wrong and see what we got here.
Yeah, my worry is that it's going to be full of stuff.
I'm sure it's going to be full of opinions too.
Yeah. Lord Apone says PlayStation Plus gives you cloud saves. Without PlayStation Plus, you do not get cloud saves.
Oh, okay.
Okay, good to know.
But you can save it on a thumbstick.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Cash says cloud saves are disabled for some games such as Pokemon to stop save scumming. And for example, trade a legendary Pokemon away to a friend, revert your save from the cloud, and effectively duplicate a Pokemon. This is a preemptive for Pokemon. Oh, that's good to know. Lord Apone, all game saves can be uploaded to the cloud if you have PlayStation Plus and have the space for it. There are no exceptions. Great to know. Zaire says Nintendo only announced 10 of its 20 NES games. This includes soccer, tennis, Donkey Kong, Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers, Balloon Fight, Ice Climber, Dr. Mario, The Legend of Zelda, and Super Mario Brothers 3. There's a very long thing for Nen Reaper about cloud saves and Nintendo Online NES games, which says online cheating concerns. So, that's really like the short answer there.
So the games that are going to be on Nintendo Flick sound a lot like the same stuff that was bundled with the NES Classic, right? Just all the kind of Nintendo greatest hits.
Right, exactly. Not like new, well, not that we've seen so far, new games like what you get with Xbox Live Gold and PlayStation Plus.
Right.
Joe Medforth says, the only reason Kevin can log in to play Fortnite on another Switch is because that's tied to your Epic account. Even if you use your Nintendo Network account to sign up and play, it's technically separate from the account you use to buy games on the eShop.
So I can't download one of the other games?
At this point in time, there is no way to play or transfer digital games you have bought on one Switch console on a different Switch.
Boo.
Unfortunately,
Oh, that's
even with the
awful.
paid online service imminent, this is unlikely to change anytime soon.
So that's
Jared,
that's
you're
the
totally right.
that's the one thing that would get me excited about the announcements tomorrow is if they reveal that
I
one
caught that,
simple
Kevin.
feature.
I'm glad you did.
What did he say?
He called you Jared.
All right, listen. I deserve that. I deserved it.
The hand
Can
says,
you not pick someone other than Jared though? Did it have to be Jared?
I mean, it has to be
No.
the part-timers.
I love Jared.
The hand says it is simply titled Mario Kart Wii and does feature online play. Mario Kart was the first Mario Kart game to have online. Mario Kart Wii, excuse me, was the first game to have online through the
That's what I
Nintendo
thought,
Wi-Fi
yeah.
service. There's a lot of Mario Kart answers. More Mario Kart answers.
Yeah, this is where when we ask for people to clarify something.
Editorializing on loot boxes.
I'm sure there's a lot of that in the chat as well.
And people editorializing more on loot boxes. There will not be a live reaction for the Nintendo Direct tomorrow. No. We're just kind of running a skeleton crew here, so that won't happen. The Ass Captain says, only release date update I was seeing was Reigns, Kings and Queens is coming to Switch. Will release on the 20th of September. So that's a new date that we missed. Another new date from Zaire, Oddworld Stranger's Wrath HD is coming to Switch. Also, Velocity 2X is coming to Switch on September 20th. Chitty Chat says Andrea said she wanted to forward some Destiny 2 questions to tomorrow with Jared. But Jared hates Destiny, so good luck. Well, I'm running the show. So
Yeah, force him to answer those
Jared
Destiny
can just
questions.
sit there and look pretty.
Yeah.
A rebuttal of sorts. Well, we can't. You can't really have a rebuttal. This is Lucar Wolf. You know better. Also, new dates from Zaire: Sega Aegis, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Thunder Force 4 coming on September 20th to Nintendo Switch. Thank you so much to everybody for hanging in there. I know it was a long one. Tomorrow's host, as I mentioned, is me and Jared. On Friday, Jared is back with Damon. You guys, of course, can subscribe on podcast services to Kind of Funny Games Daily and watch us at youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. Thanks to everybody watching on Twitch. We'll see you tomorrow. It's been our pleasure to serve.